Jack Hitt, who was our host, said, well, how bad a decision do you think Bush against Gore is? I said, look, it's a bad decision, but it's nowhere near Korematsu. And Dick Posner did something that shocked me then, and you'll see why it's so relevant today, which is he said, well, I don't think Korematsu was such a bad decision either, which kind of staggered me. I do not think that we were near a constitutional crisis. I don't think, but one of the things that I thought was quite interesting about what happened after the Supreme Court ruled is it was very different than the first two super close elections in U.S. presidential history, the election of 1800 and the election of 1876. Neither of those elections was decided by the Supreme Court, and if the Supreme Court had tried to decide either of those elections, they would have been ignored. And what was interesting to me is the power and the capital that the Supreme Court had built up was such that once the Supreme Court ruled, Vice President Gore saw no way to challenge the court's ruling, even if he thought it was wrong. That is, the Supreme Court, building, I think, on its decisions in Brown against Board of Education and in the reapportionment revolution, had built up such capital with the American people that once it said, this election is over, everybody snapped to and said, this election is over. And I think that's the reason, in part, that we didn't have a constitutional crisis. The Supreme Court should have waited till all the ballots were counted to issue an opinion saying, this election is over. And that's where the Supreme Court got things wrong. But I don't think we needed to have this decided by December 12th so that people would have a full 2 weeks of Christmas shopping before Christmas Day.